Hello everyone, I am Josh and welcome to this Sims 4 house building video. So today I am building a modern house called Sky, and the idea behind this house is that there aren't really any windows on the outside except for in the back where I have a courtyard, but instead all the light that comes into the house is coming through the roof because every single room in this house except for I think the kitchen has a completely glass ceiling. So that was the idea, and I thought that would be pretty cool. I kind of had the idea to do this ever since I did a house build called Accent, which I think that was in the fall at some point, and I did a dining room in that house that had a completely open ceiling. Like there was actually no ceiling at all, it was just a trellis with some plants over it. And I thought that was kind of cool, just like the lighting and the way it kind of was like shining in through the trellis, and it just looked kind of cool. That was before we had these glass ceiling pieces. Now I know that these glass ceiling pieces, and I say that in air quotes, I'm doing my famous air quotes again, aren't really for ceilings because they're actually dance floors, but I will call them ceiling pieces because that's what I've made them into for this build. Anyway, those came with Get Together, so I didn't have them back when I did Accent, so it was just like a hole. But you can see here I'm using these dance floors as glass ceiling pieces, and they work really well because you actually have a ceiling and it's opened up, you know, they're glass, and I think it looks pretty cool. The only downfall with these is that they're lit up, like they have a lighting element to them because they're dance floors. So I ended up just making them all blue because I thought that blue was the coolest look for it. But anyway, I don't think I ever finished my point I was making. Ever since I did Accent with the open dining room, I wanted to do a house that was just entirely open. Like there was entire glass ceiling. That there was, yeah, get the idea. And then once Get Together came out, then I had the idea to use the glass dance floors as the ceilings. I never got around to doing it. I actually forgot about doing it until just a week ago, and I thought, you know what, that's a good idea, I'll do it. And I already had the name, which was Sky. I thought that was a clever name because it's open to the sky. And yeah, so this is kind of what came out of it. Now, since the dance floors are specific sizes, I had to kind of make the rooms or the shape of the house a specific size so they would fit correctly. So that's kind of the way that the house kind of came together. And it's a very weird looking house, I know that, especially because there are no windows on any of the walls that face like a street or anything. You can see the only windows that are on there now are in the back. Those windows on the side behind that wall aren't there in the end. And yeah, so it's just kind of the weirdest thing. You know, you see a house with no windows. You know, like if this was real life, you wouldn't really see the back of the house. Well, there is like an area behind the house that's like a public area, but even so, you can't really see inside from there. The only part you can see inside from is that corner where the pool is, if you can kind of see into the courtyard there. That's the only area that you can actually see into the house because that's where the windows are. Otherwise, there's no windows, and it's the weirdest looking thing because it's just solid white. There's this stone part too, just to make it look a little more interesting, but it's just solid walls. I used some trellises and stuff to kind of make it look a little more interesting, which you'll see. But for the most part, it's just solid, which is unusual. And it was also a challenge with furnishing too, because I'm not used to having all this wall space. I'm used to having a bunch of windows. There's some trellises if you just noticed. I'm used to having a bunch of windows and stuff, and I now found myself with all this empty wall space to fill, and Sims 4 needs some more artwork, I think, especially modern artwork, because obviously I wasn't going to use old-fashioned type stuff. But anyway, you can see the lighting is also very interesting. I had to furnish this house in like the early morning lighting or like twilight lighting, because that way the sun was lower, so the light wasn't like all over everything, because I couldn't tell the colors of stuff because everything was so bright. It was just, there's so much light in the house during midday. It's crazy. Even though there's like, the living room doesn't have many windows. You can see there's a few over there on that one wall. And other rooms, like the master bedroom, doesn't have any windows at all. It's just the ceiling. It's incredible how much light comes in. It's just really cool. Obviously, there's no window coverings on the ceiling, so in early morning, I suppose, when the sun rises, all the light would just come through the ceiling and there's no blinds or anything to stop that. So it's not practical, but in The Sims it works really well, and I think it's pretty cool. You can see I also put an overhang on the roof, which makes it look like the skylights don't actually fill the entire rooms, but they actually do. The parts of the roofs that don't have the skylights is just overhang, and that's actually not part of the ceiling of the rooms. So from inside, it's just the whole ceiling is glass. There's not even any little bit of it that's not. Except for the area under the second floor here, which is the kitchen and a half bathroom. That area of the house does have a solid ceiling, but that's because there's a second level there. Here, I'm putting some trellises up because I wanted to make it look a little more interesting in the front. I did put a window behind those trellises, which I covered with a curtain, but I actually get rid of that later because it just was annoying me, because like the whole point was that there'd be no windows on this house facing the street. Although there are some windows there on the second floor, but I put a wall piece that kind of blocks them. So the light comes in, but you can't see in from outside. That was the idea. I've done that before, and I think it looks kind of cool. But yeah, so I get rid of that one window in the front of the house that was covered with a curtain, because it kind of just, but I didn't see the point of it, so I got rid of that at the end. At this point, I realized the house was too small, so I ended up enlarging it here. And it's such a large house. It looks like such a large house because it's so spread out. I fit a lot of large rooms all on one level, so there's only one room on the second floor. It's very small, second floor. So it's really just more of a one-level house, which I don't tend to do. I don't even know the last time I did a one-level house completely. Obviously, this house does have a second floor, so it doesn't count as one level. There you can see the blue light that lights up. I can't remember the last time I did a one-level house. I don't know, must have been forever ago. Actually, no, I did do a cottage. No, that was a two-story cottage. No, I have no idea. I don't know. Anyhow, there's also a courtyard in the middle, which you can see at some points, which I talked about. That's where the windows are. And there was someone who left a comment on my last build saying that they wanted to see a house with a courtyard, so I thought I could incorporate it into this house, as well as that gave me an opportunity to have some windows on the walls, because they looked into a courtyard, so it was still private. So you can see I'm putting some more trellises there on that part of the house. And I think overall it just turns out really cool. I tried to be I didn't want to overdo the landscaping, so I tried to do very simplistic landscaping. Obviously, there's no landscaping really yet at all. I get there at the end, but in the end, there's not too much landscaping. I do put these rows of bamboo down the sides of the house, which I thought offered a little bit more privacy, and also it just added some greenery to it, because it was just a bunch of concrete walls. All the walls in this house are concrete. All the rooms have just the white concrete walls. All the exterior walls are that way, except for the ones with the brick. And in the kitchen, there's some tile on the wall. But that's it. It's just very simplistic. That was the idea anyway. Just very modern. And I wanted to bring all the color in with the furniture and like the wall art and stuff, and that really pops, because the flooring is very, it's like a very light wood, and all the walls are just solid white, and it just makes the furniture really pop, and the artwork on the walls pops, and it just looks really cool. There you can see the courtyard with the fountain. I put some bamboo in there, which, obviously offered a little bit of shade and a bit of greenery, and it just looks kind of cool because the bamboo goes up over the top of the roof, which you can kind of see. I don't think you can see it at street level, but it just kind of looks cool when all the walls are up. There you can see I'm putting some wood flooring in the main rooms. This large room here is the living room, and it actually was a large enough room for one of the giant rugs. That is one of the huge rugs. It actually doesn't look huge in this room, but it's really a big rug. It's a really big room. Had some challenges filling this room because of its size. Also, these bookshelves. I didn't know they existed. Apparently they're from Get to Work, and I've never seen anyone use them in a house before. I didn't even know they were in the game until I just stumbled upon them. Like, these actually look pretty nice. I think they're maybe for like a bookstore or some kind of business, but they look good. Another thing that I wanted to do is have a collage of paintings on the wall, like just a bunch of modern art that was just kind of put together in a geometric kind of pattern here. So I was just picking out a bunch of artwork, and I was trying to figure out a good way to arrange it. You can see 3 of these pieces actually from Dine Out. 3 of them there are from that pack, which has some nice artwork. And you can see I'm trying to arrange it in a way that looks good. It took me a little bit of time. I think I changed out one of the paintings with a sculpture type thing. But in the end, it looks really cool. I really like the way it turned out in the end. It's very unique, and it's just does a really good job of filling that blank wall with, some art. So here I'm just getting another piece. And obviously that window there with the curtain over it is not there in the end. And then I had this giant back wall I had to deal with. So I ended up putting these mirrors that Two of them look like they're coming up from the floor, and two look like they're coming down from the ceiling. And I put some lighting on them, and then I put some shelves across the whole wall, and I put some stuff on those shelves and things like that. And it actually looks pretty cool, which you'll see. So here I'm just gonna put in the couches, and there's three wide couches, so you could fit 9 Sims in there. It's a lot of space in this living room. Like I said, also over here was a clever idea I did with the fish tanks that came with Dine Out. I took 2 of them and stacked them and sandwiched them between some windows, so they're like see-through. It's like a floor-to-ceiling, completely see-through fish tank that you can just see from inside to outside through the fish tank. And I put a little trellis with some ivy on it, and since it was a trellis, I used Move Objects to put some plants and stuff on top of the ivy trellis, which I thought looked pretty cool. So you can see that here, and I think it just looks nice. It's just interesting. I don't really know. It was just something to do with the space that I had here, and I thought, hey, might as well do something with that. So there you go, a little funky fish tank trellis thing. Anyway, here I used some counters to make what would be like a little side table in the entrance to the house. So that's obviously the entrance area, and I just put some artwork there that came with, I think, movie hangout stuff, and also some bamboo, and just a bunch of clutter and stuff on that table. It looks pretty good. So I also used the mirrored coffee tables that came with movie hangout stuff. I used them because they reflect the ceiling, which is just the sky. So I thought that looked really cool because it's just solid blue, or whatever the sky color is, which you can see through them, which looks really awesome. And I imagine in real life that would be pretty cool because you have the glass ceiling, and then you have like the mirrors. Speaking of mirrors, there's a lot of them in this house. You can see there's the 4 on that back wall of the living room. I put a lot in the bedrooms, and I don't know why. They're good to fill space because I had so much wall space to fill, and there's not too many variations of paintings, so I thought that I'd use some mirrors as well. Here I'm bringing some red into the room with some objects on this shelving unit. I don't know, I was trying to bring some color in, so I brought in some red and some blue on that shelving unit with some of the objects they put in there. Here I'm putting a little grilling patio out the back with a little fountain and some of these hedges. Someone told me that F5 is quarter tile placement. I don't even know the Sims 4 had a quarter tile placement thing. I know the Sims 2 had a cheat for that, but I just assumed that in the Sims 4 they just expect you to use Alt. But apparently that's a thing. I can't believe I didn't know that, but thank you for the person that told me. But it didn't really work for those hedges anyway because there was still a tiny little gap between each one, so I had to use Alt anyway. But that's an interesting little thing. I can't see myself using it too often because Alt just ends up being better in most situations, but it's good to know. And here I'm just putting some small bookshelves that look like coffee tables, and I put some lamps on there. There's a lot of lighting I had to do with lamps and wall lights because, again, with the glass ceilings you can't put ceiling lights, so I had to use a lot of wall lights and floor lights, which was definitely also a challenge. So it's a very interesting house because of that. Now, the kitchen is the only room in the house with no natural light, which is a little unfortunate. That's because there's no windows, obviously, because it's on the corner of the house that's facing 2 walkways where people would be, and because it's under the 2nd floor, so there's no ceiling, no glass ceiling. So it's just, you know what, something I could have done, oh, you know what, I just realized I could have put a glass floor on the level above this. Oh, that would have been so cool. I guess one of you will have to do that if you download it. That would be awesome if you could like put the dance floor pieces on the floor of the room above this, so that 2nd floor room would have a glass ceiling and a glass floor. That would be awesome. Oh, I need to do that in one of my houses. This would have been a good opportunity, but I didn't think about it until just now. But anyway, this kitchen does not have any natural light. It's alright though. I used a lot of blue and black, as you can see. I guess the main color in this house was blue. As you saw in the living room, there's a lot of blue going on, and that theme kind of goes throughout the house. The master bedroom and the guest bedroom also have some blue in them too. So I use a lot of blue in the kitchen. So there's the blue island, the blue cabinets, and black counters, so it's not all blue. And then there's blue oven and sink. Unfortunately, the fridge didn't come in blue for some reason. It's the matching fridge that goes with that oven, but it doesn't come in blue, of course, so a little unfortunate. I also put that giant pot on the counter. I thought it looked kind of cool, like it was a just like a centerpiece there on that back counter. It's a very large kitchen too. There's plenty of room. I kind of cluttered it up a little bit too much maybe. I tried to leave a few counters open for cooking, but I wanted it to look detailed. And there's a nice island there, which you can see has 3 seats. There's also 2 dining rooms. There's an indoor dining room, obviously. There's also an outdoor dining room that's kind of near the pool, so you know, that's kind of next to the courtyard, so that's kind of an area where Sims can party outside, I guess, which is nice. Anyway, I think that was the kitchen done, and now we're moving on to the interior dining room, which is the actual formal dining room, I guess. You can see it's a 6-seat table. I used my favorite glass chairs, or plastic chairs. They're probably not glass chairs. That sounds like a great idea. No, plastic chairs, and it looks kind of nice there. And you can see we have a wall of windows in this room, which is nice. So not only is there a glass ceiling, there's a floor-to-ceiling wall of windows, which would actually look pretty cool if you think about it. Like it looks like the ceiling glass like wraps over onto the walls. I haven't yet taken the screenshots for this house, so because I usually do that before I do the voiceover, but this time I'm doing the voiceover first before I have the screenshots. So I haven't yet gone into first-person mode and looked in the house, which I'm really excited to do that because I think it'll look pretty awesome. But of course, those screenshots will be at the end. I'm just expecting though the ceiling, like just the sky, just to be plain blue, so it might just look like a pure blue ceiling, which would be kind of sad, but I think it'll look good. Anyhow, this is the only bathroom that's not an ensuite, because if you're having guests over, you want them to be able to relieve themselves in a bathroom without having to go through one of the bedrooms. So this is just a little half bath here. The house is 2 bedrooms and 2.5 bathrooms, so both bedrooms have an ensuite and there's that extra half bathroom. The only unfortunate thing is the guest room has a door out to the courtyard and windows that look out to the pool, while the master bedroom has neither. The only reason is because the master bedroom is so much bigger, and I couldn't fit such a big room next to the pool, so, you know, it's a little unfortunate. You could probably split the master bedroom into 2 bedrooms if you wanted to, since it's such a big room, but it looks really cool. There's no windows at all in this room, it's just all the ceiling, that's where all the light comes through, and I used a lot of turquoise in this room as well, so that bed and those bedside tables is just the start. And I used wood floors and just like a little bit of carpet there instead of a rug. And I wanted to do like this kind of canopy made out of these curtains, but it just ended up looking like a hospital partition kind of thing, where like, you know, like they have like the stretcher and they put like in like certain rooms and they have like curtains that like give some privacy. It just didn't look like a bedroom type of thing, so I gave up on that. And since I couldn't put the TV on the wall because it would block the door, I kind of put a floating TV there with a couple columns, and I set the TV up in between them, and I get rid of the other columns. I was trying to make them work, but they look kind of stupid. So I thought that TV situation was kind of cool. The dresser's also not against the wall, so it's kind of an awkward space behind the dresser and TV, but I think it's alright. It looks kind of cool. It's definitely different. I bring in more turquoise with those couches, and it's a little controversial there probably, but I think it looks alright. And just get a little half table. Half table? That's a new invention. It's invented the half table. That being side table is what I wanted to say. And a little, what would you call that? I guess it's like it's not really an ottoman at the end of the bed there, but it's got like a little poofy thing to sit on. I forget what it's called. But it looks pretty nice, and, you know, you could put stuff on there, I guess. And of course, the dirty clothes, which I always put in master bedrooms, because, who knows, maybe slobby Sims live here. Maybe they're slobs. Anyway, that was a really weird way to say anyway. I was taking a breath when I was saying that, sorry. Anyway, I'm doing this master bathroom here. So the master bathroom has, again, no windows, but lots of light. So we have all that light coming from the ceiling, and it makes that kind of pattern on the floors. That's the new lighting that came with the latest update, and it looks pretty cool. I really wanted to fit the giant corner tub in, so I kind of rearranged the bathroom a bit so I could fit it in. And I put these columns in and put these hanging lights into the columns that kind of like poke out. You can see with those like triangle things. And they are so bright, and they work really well. It's amazing. It's just kind of cool because there wasn't really any wall space. I guess I could could have put a light on the wall, but I thought that looked pretty cool with those columns with the light fixtures in there. And here you can see I'm just putting some other stuff in this room. Just some details, a couple of robes, as you can see. Also, I'm looking for some artwork. And a mirror, of course, another mirror. And I believe that's that room done. So moving on now to what is the guest bedroom. So this guest bedroom has a door out to the courtyard and also a really nice window that looks out to the water. That's the pool. Looks out to the water. Out to the pool. One thing that frustrated me is there's no matching bedside tables for that bed. It looks like I couldn't find a wood color that matched the wood on the bed, so I just had to go for dressers that matched the bedspread. So that was the best I could do. I was gonna put more windows there on that open area, but I felt like it didn't look private enough, so I got rid of them. Those windows I just put in aren't there in the end. So anyway, back to this bedroom. I had like that star mirror, which I had to move over to fit in all these paintings, but I think it looks pretty good. There's also another mirror there over the dresser, and the little doodads and doohickeys there on that side table, and some books. A lot of books in this house because that's just the best clutter item I can usually find. And oh, you can see how bright it just got there when I switched to normal daytime. It gets so bright, it's kind of insane. I don't know if it looks that great because it's just the brightness is a little too intense maybe, but I think it's kind of interesting. It's definitely different. This is the ensuite there. That was the ensuite for the guest room, and both the master bedroom and the guest room have closets, like proper closets that like came from Get Together. Yeah. Anyhow, this is the second floor, which does not have the amazing glass floor idea that I just came up with, but it's pretty cool anyway. So you have that nice little couch by the sitting area. I put a second couch in actually. And there's also a grand piano. I just love putting pianos in my houses, so I had space for it, so I thought I'd throw it in. And there's also this nice overlooking area by the stairs, and I put a large light fixture there that comes from the ceiling down into that little atrium by the entrance. There's also a balcony here, which does not have anything on it. I just didn't feel like putting anything on it, so just to be honest, there's nothing on the balcony. It's just there for looks, I suppose. But you can see here there's a little sitting area. There's also a little computer desk and the piano. So it's kind of just like a sitting room slash office, just kind of slash skills room. I guess you would put a art easel or a whatever you call that thing, the chess table up here. So you know, there's things you could do with this space. And I believe that's the interior done. So we're gonna just move on now to some exterior bits and bobs. So I'm going to just put some lighting around the place so you can see I got rid of those windows. This is the outdoor dining area, so I'm just going to put in a nice table there with some chairs and a little thing of purple flowers. I also put this kind of cool sculpture there against the back. And yeah, it's just kind of like a nice covered area that your Sims can dine outside in. There's also a nice sitting area behind the dining area, so you can see we just have these kind of lounge chairs, not lounge chairs, but like couches, outdoor couches. In purple, I thought the purple was kind of interesting, and some interesting rugs there as well that kind of brings some color into it. Here I'm putting in some flowers and stuff in the courtyard area, so you can see there's just some nice plants. A lot of them came from the romantic garden stuff, just because I didn't really get an opportunity to use them yet. So, you know, I thought I'd throw them in. And here I'm adjusting all the hedges that I placed earlier, because the quarter tile placement didn't quite work for them, because there was a little gap between each one that was bothering me, so I had to do it by hand anyway. It's also, this is the grilling patio, so there's also a grill, a little sitting area, and some planters there, so I guess your Sims could garden if they wanted to. Obviously there's space if you want more planters. And I think we're almost done with the outdoor furniture. I'm putting in just a few more lights, a little outdoor rug. I say outdoor rug, but it's really not meant to go outside, but it looks good. And you can see that awesome roof. I wasn't really happy with the way it lit up at first, but it kind of grew on me and I thought it looked kind of cool. Although at night, I can't imagine that'd be nice to have that in the bedrooms because it's like having a light that's always on, but I think it's kind of cool. It's definitely different. I mean, in The Sims it works really well. I'm not so sure how well this house would work in real life, but in The Sims it works really well, and I think it looks really cool. Here I'm just putting some plants just by the bamboo trees, and also putting some more trees outside in the front. Anyway, we're almost done here. I hope you enjoyed this house build. There's plenty more house builds on my channel. There's also a restaurant build that I just did a day or two ago. That's really cool, called Parisian Eatery. You should definitely check that out. I also want to do a tavern well, not a tavern, but like kind of like a pub and inn kind of thing in Windenburg that I might want to do, that kind of has like a pub at the bottom and then like kind of a hotel type thing, like an inn upstairs. I think that'd be kind of cool. But anyway, I'm just going to do the final touches here. Obviously, like I said before, there's some screenshots after this. Those I think will be really awesome. So definitely stick around for those, because I think this house will look even better inside than from outside. And yeah, we're just putting some finishing touches here, and we're almost done. I'm just doing some roof lights, which always look cool. And yeah, anyway, I hope you enjoyed, and I hope to see you in the next video. Have a great day. Bye, everyone.